Yeah, everyone, this is here Ravi Agarwal. So in this audio, we are going to discuss about Essay 210. And before we start our discussing regarding Essay 210, you should have Auditpedia 2.0 in your hand. And in case you don't have, you can take it from me. So Essay 210, agreeing the terms of auditing is agreeing the terms of audit engagement. So here, an auditor and auditee both are agreeing to the terms of audit engagement. So what are the objective of Essay 200? Mainly two objectives of Essay 200. An auditor is going to either accept or continue the audit engagement only if the three preconditions are present. Okay, and there has to be a common understanding between auditor and management and TCWG. So objective of Essay 210 is auditor is going to accept, audit or continue the audit engagement only if the three preconditions are present. What are those three preconditions? Number one, management should use acceptable FRF. What is FRF? Financial Reporting Framework, AS, Ind AS law. So management should use acceptable FRF. This is precondition one. Number two, there has to be a proper internal control so that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. And number three, you should provide auditor with AAU. Okay, to provide auditor with AAU. What is that? A is all information. Second, A is additional information. U is unrestricted access. So these are the three preconditions which should be present so that auditor can accept or continue the audit engagement. What are those three preconditions? Let's see it again. Management has to use acceptable FRF. Management has to use acceptable FRF. Okay, there has to be a proper internal control so that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Okay, you have to provide the auditor with all information such as record documents. A. Next, A is additional information on auditor's request, and U is unrestricted access to the person within entity so that he can get audit evidence. This is AAU. So these are the three preconditions which should be present. And second objective of Essay 210 is there has to be a common understanding between auditor, management, and TCWG. So this is about acceptance. What about non-acceptance? When an auditor is not going to accept or continue the audit engagement, number one, if preconditions are not present, very simple. And second, prior to acceptance, management imposes limitation. Oh my God, why will you accept this audit engagement when you know management is imposing limitation? And if in case you accept, you will be giving disclaimer of opinion. So better not to accept. No, prior to acceptance, management imposes limitation which will result in auditor disclaiming the opinion. All right, so better that you don't accept. So these are the two conditions where you don't accept the audit engagement. Number one, preconditions are not present. Those three preconditions are not present. Okay, and prior to acceptance, management imposes limitation. Okay, so next is TOAE, terms of audit engagement. What is that? Audit engagement letter or other suitable form like written agreement. Now you'll tell me, what is audit engagement letter? What does it include? It includes like what is the scope, what is the objective of audit, okay, what is your responsibility, that is what is management responsibility, what is my responsibility, that is what is auditor responsibility, identification of FRF, like it will be written over there like these are the FRF, okay, identified FR, or and what are the expected form and content of acceptable FRF. Okay, so this is what audit engagement letter includes. Like in the letter over there, it will be written the objective and the scope of audit. These are the objective, these are scope of audit, these are the management responsibility, these are the auditor responsibility, these are the identified FRF, these are the forms content of acceptable FRF to be used. Okay, so this is about audit engagement letter that it includes. Okay, the next is recurring audit. What is recurring audit? Okay, auditors shall assess whether to revise or to remind terms of audit engagement. So in certain circumstances, what are those circumstances? I will be telling you later in this essay only. So what happened in the certain circumstances, auditor shall assess, he has to think whether to revise or remind the terms of audit engagement. Okay, so when auditor has to he has to check whether to revise, whether he has to change the terms of audit engagement, or he has to remind the management, maybe that he has forgotten, so he has to remind the management about the terms of audit engagement. This is recurring audit. So what happened in recurring audit? Let's hear it again. Auditor shall assess, he has to think whether to revise the terms of audit engagement or he has to remind the management about the terms of audit engagement. When does it happen? In certain circumstances. I will be discussing. Okay, so next, change in terms of audit engagement. What is change in terms of audit engagement? What happened here? If prior to completing the audit engagement has been completed, no, audit engagement is still pending. If prior to completing the audit engagement, client requests the auditor to change the terms that convey lower assurance. Okay, prior to completing the audit engagement has not been completed, or client is requesting me to change the terms because it is conveying lower assurance. So what will I do? I will consider whether there is a reasonable justification for doing so. So I will ask the client, okay, you tell me the reasonable justification, give me the reasonable justification. If he gives you the reasonable justification, I will agree to the new terms. Okay, what will I do? I will agree to the new terms. In case he does not give me the reasonable justification, management does not permit the original terms also. So what will I do? In that case, I will withdraw and report to TCWG. Very simple. Change in terms of our engagement. What happened in case of change in terms of our engagement? the audit engagement has not yet completed, okay, and client is requesting me, the auditor, to change the terms that convey the lower assurance. So I will ask, give me the reasonable justification for doing so. If he gives me the reasonable justification for doing so, I will agree to the new term. And in case he does not give me the reasonable justification for doing so, what will I do? And I will check whether he's allowing me the original terms. No, he's not allowing me the original terms also. So I will simply withdraw and report to TCWG. Okay, so this is about change in terms of audit engagement. And the last question of this essay 210 is, what happens when I am going to remind the auditor about the existing terms, or the following are the circumstances that require to revise the terms of audit engagement. I told you in recurring audit, the auditor shall assess whether to revise or remind the terms of audit engagement in circumstances. So what are those circumstances? So I made a mnemonics for this answer. It's like MRF ka son. So MRF ka son is a mnemonic where you answer this. Like, what is MRF? M is where entity misunderstand the objective and scope. MRF ka son. So M is entity misunderstand the objective and scope. So in this case, what will I do? I will change the terms of audit. Okay, I will change the terms of audit engagement. So number one, M is entity misunderstand the objective and scope of audit. R, change in regulatory requirement. So in this case also, I will change the terms of audit engagement, or either I will remind the management. So MRF ka sum. M is entity misunderstand objective and scope. R is change in regulatory requirement. R. F is change in FRF. MRF done. M is entity misunderstand objective and scope. R is change in regulatory requirement. F is change in FRF. So in this case, either I will revise the terms or I will remind the management. MRF ka son. S is change in senior management. O is change in ownership. Okay, or N is change in nature or size of entity. So in this case, what I am going to do, I have to either revise the terms of engagement or I have to remind. So let's check it once again. So what all I have understood in this essay 210, agreeing the terms of engagement. So I have to see what are the objective. There are basically two objective. Precondition has to be present, and there has to be common understanding between auditor and management. And if in this case, then I'm going to accept the audit. So when I'm not going to accept the audit, when precondition not present and management prior to acceptance imposes limitation. What is terms of audit engagement? Audit engagement letter and suitable form. So what are audit engagement letter? It includes objective, scope, management responsibility, auditor responsibility, identification of FRF, and expected form, content of FRF. So what is reckoning audit? Reckoning audit, it shall assess, auditor shall assess whether to revise or remind the terms of audit. Change in terms of engagement when prior to completing the audit, client requests the auditor to change the terms that convey lower assurance. I'll see the reasonable justification for doing so is not there. If it is there, I will change. I will agree to the new term. If it is not there, so I will check whether management permit original terms. It permits, okay. If does not permits, withdraw and report to TCWG. And following are the circumstances that require revise the terms of engagement or remind the entity of his existing terms. What are those circumstances? MRF ka son. M is when entity misunderstand the objective. R, change in regulatory requirement. F is change in FRF. MRF son. S is change in senior management. O, change in ownership. N, change in nature or size of entities. So here we end with essay 210. We are going to rock. Signing off, your faculty for audit, C. Ravi Agarwal.